Welcome to the Work Trends podcast from Talent Culture. I'm your host, Megan Mbiro. Every week, I interview interesting people who are reimagining work. And be sure to check out our Work Trends Twitter chat events calendar located at talentculture.com on the podcast page. Welcome, everyone, to the Talent Culture Work Trends podcast, sponsored today by HiBob. I'm your host, Megan Mbiro, and today we are discussing business resiliency during times of uncertainty. This is a very timely topic as we try to move on from COVID-19 and the pandemic, of course, to responding to workplace transformation, trends such as quiet quitting, and other market-related challenges. Those who have been in business know that change is inevitable, and it's fair to say that this shift has been especially dramatic. While there are many changes at play in the current economic environment, one key ingredient to surviving and even thriving through the chaos is resilience, or the capacity to survive, adapt, and grow in the face of adversity, is the critical skill for any business looking to remain competitive and profitable. In this episode, we are going to be exploring business resiliency strategies that can help organizations weather the storm of disruption, yes, and change. Our guest today is Ronni Zehavi, co-founder and CEO of HiBob. Ronni has over 25 years of experience in multinational high-tech companies. Before founding and taking the CEO post at HiBob, he was an entrepreneur in residence at the Silicon Valley-based Bessemer Venture Partners. Zehavi serves as a strategic advisor and co-founder of Team 8 Cybersecurity, a powerhouse for developing disruptive cybersecurity technology. Previously, he was the co-founder and CEO of Cotendo, a content delivery network acquired by Akamai in 2012 for $300 million, just 4 years after it was founded. Ronni has a BA in History and Educational Management from Tel Aviv University and an MA in Organizational Sociology. Happy to have you here, Ronni. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. My pleasure to be here.
So let's dive right in. How can businesses be prepared during this time of uncertainty?
So if you decide to work in this industry, the tech industry, then you need to be prepared for the ups and downs. Basically, there are periods of time that everything is shiny and blooming, and obviously there are downsides and challenges. I think after 2020 and 2021, where the sun was shining and everything was clear, we are facing more challenges in the industry. Some of them related to the macroeconomy, some of them they are embedded to the different industries. But I think when it comes to uncertainty, you need to think about, and I use a metaphor, how you drive a car. So if 2021 was all about driving and 100 kilometers per hour because the road was very clear, in today's environment, you need to slow down. You need to make sure that you adjust your pace to the cloudy and bumpy road that's in front of you. And uncertainty means that nobody has an idea when this will end. Specifically, if 2023 is going to be a challenging one, we will see a recovery in 23, or it's only in 24, maybe it's 2 years. So it's a big challenge for every CEO, every C-suite, how you deal with uncertainty. And to be prepared, I think, first of all, you need to read the map. You need to realize that this is the situation. It took a while because between the time you think it's happening until the time you feel it, it can take weeks or months or quarters. So realizing the situation is the first and most important one, and then pause and come up with a plan. And the plan should include the following criteria, I would say, or parameters. Number one, understanding how long is your runway. So do you have enough cash as a funded company to get through the stormy weather of 23 or even beyond 23? And number two is, are you really adjusting your business plan, your growth plan to the environment? So will you be able to close the deals and generate the ARR, the revenues you expected to have? It is related to the sales cycle of every sales. And so slowdown does not impact you, also impact your customers and the industry. So the realization is around the runway, the growth, the business plan, and very important about the people. Do you really have the right people have in the company? Can you retain them? If you can't retain them and you need to decide to lay off, how you run this process of layoffs. But at least in my experience, and I've been in 3 turnarounds in the market, 2001, 2008, COVID in 2020, and now again, I think uncertainty and slowdown in the market also create a fantastic opportunities for companies when the market will recover, and the market will recover, no doubt.
We've been here before. So how do we prepare better for when the economy bounces back? What are those things that we can be doing in the meantime?
It starts with the people. Make sure that the ones that are really important for your business are with you. They understand clearly the headwinds and how you deal with those headwinds, and also to make sure that they will be with you when the tailwind will come. So people, invest in your people, make sure that you can retain all of them, or if not all of them, the most important ones. Secondly, if there is an opportunity and you have enough resources and capital, you can either build new models that can help you to complement something that is missing in your current offering. There's always an opportunity to acquire business because there will be other players in your market that will struggle. They will look for change of control and exit. So it creates an M&A opportunities for businesses. And more than anything else, I think optimism. Think positive. What goes up must come down, and what comes down goes up afterwards. So optimism is critical in this period of time.
Is there a right or wrong way to reduce headcount? There's a lot of people out there that they know they have to do it, but they're putting it off because, it's not fun. Is there a right way to do this? Is there a wrong way? What's the impact on company culture?
So let me start with explaining to the audience what CEO has, what are the options CEO has when it comes to a point that you need to replan, restructure, even lay off people. So it's one option out of a few. So think about kind of a toolbox. And the CEO has different tools to use to adjust to the environment. So number one, and I think this is related to the end of 2021, is business as usual. I believe there is no even one CEO today that believes that business as usual. Number two is you understand that everything is changing. Now it's all about a decision that you slow down. That's the second option. And if slowdown is not enough, then you need to freeze. You can freeze additional hires. You can freeze merit increase cycles, compensation. So you're not doing any salary increase to your people. That's another option. And the next option is layoffs. It could be only layoffs, so you can do layoffs and also decide that you are cutting the salaries. In many cases, executive C-level take a bigger hit when it comes to compensation reduction. Now, the way to do it, if you get to a point that you need to lay off, I think, again, planning is important. Whenever you think, let's say you decided that you need to cut 10% of your people, I advise that you do your homework again and try and do the extra. So maybe instead of 10%, think about what does it mean to have 12%, because you have to have the cushion that when you're doing the cut, it won't be enough. And the last thing you want to do is do it again afterwards. So you have to do it in one shot. You have to plan it, and it has to be completely transparent, of course, with your management team and your board, but also with the people. So it is also it is important to think about the people who are laid off, but also to think a lot about those who stay in the business, their retention. How you deal with their with the risk that they see that there be another round of layoff. Theoretically, there's additional overload on those who stays because they have to do a job of 2 people before or even more. So I think communication and being very transparent with the team is critical. Especially it's critical for those who remain in the business, and how you maintain your DNA and your culture, and then do it in one shot. No salami. Get a plan and then communicate it to everybody and get it done.
So do you think changes in the economy will affect flexible work or return to the office? I mean, what does that all look like?
I don't think so. I think flexible work, remote work, hybrid is here to stay. It was a nice to have perk a few years ago, and I think COVID, the pandemic, proved the organization can deal with it. Now, I think businesses that will force their employees to attend the office every day, it will be hard for them to retain their people. I think giving the flexibility on one hand, but also understanding why it is important for the people and for the managers, and of course for the organization to meet and to engage is important. So I think hybrid is here to stay. I think the ultimate combination is 2 or 3 days at the office or 2 or 3 days remote. It gives the flexibility on one hand, but it keeps the engagement and the collaboration between the people on the other side.
Well, it sounds like flexible work is here to stay, according to you.
Absolutely.
Do you think that employees are really productive in a flexible working arrangement? I mean, let's get real. I mean, I know there's been a lot of issues with this, right? I like the idea of let's find a balance. Work at home 2 days a week and be in the office 3. I mean, as I'm talking to both employees and consultants and employers, it seems like that's sort of that fine balance that we're finding right now. What do you think?
Each organization has its own flavor about what is the right mix and how flexibility is defined. What HiBob serves Australia, Europe, North America, Middle East. And I think we have a good sense of perspective about the market. I think what works really nicely for organization is understanding that the name of the game in this market, when everything is changing, and on top of that, the global economy impact is all about flexibility. If you empower your managers and you give them the option to be flexible with their people, I think you create a higher chances of better satisfaction, higher level of retention from the people. And flexibility means that it's all about what we call internally the 3 T's. The first T is trust, the second T is transparency, and the third T is teamwork. So if you follow those values as organization, it will help you create flexible work, because if you allow people to work remotely, you have no idea what they do at home. It's all about trust. So if you have an environment, you have a culture that put trust as a very important one, and you know how to nurture it, then obviously you can do a very good job on that. And transparency, I think it's part of trust. People should know exactly what you have, and then teamwork. So I think what we have seen in the past 2.5 years post-pandemic, the vast majority of organizations see the hybrid as a very productive direction. There is a lot of conversation about 4 working days a week. This is the next step. I think that my kids will not work full-time. I think my kids will work 4 days a week, but it's a process. It's a journey. It will take time until we get there, but there are other ways to prepare the organization to be less focused on the traditional 9 to 5 full-time job, work at the office or in main cities, to something which is more flexible, work from home, work from office, work from anywhere. Flexible work you can be full-time, you can be part-time, you can be a freelancer, and you can work remotely.
Listen, I want to humanize you just a little bit more right now. So tell us the story behind HiBob. How did you, as an entrepreneur, move from cybersecurity to HR tech?
Oh, I love this question. When you become manager, startup or a team leader, or you run a big business unit for a big corporation, there's always a part of manager being the HR manager of your team. You manage people. And when I was working for the company that acquired my startup before Akamai, they used I don't want to mention name, but they used a human capital management, a giant company, but legacy platform. And when we did a performance review, it was 10 years ago, 12 years ago. I remember that it took me 2 weeks to conclude the performance review with my direct report. It was an annoying experience. And I thought, somebody can do it better, but I have no intention to go in this path. And I remember a conversation I had with my daughter. She's 24 years old. And we spoke about, her expectations about work. And I realized that it is all about the experience. It is, the way the young generation who is dominating the world of work is experiencing any consumer app. They expect to have something similar experience when it comes to the work tools that they use at the office. So the idea was, can we do something different? Can we come up with an innovative approach when it comes to the way people work? It was 5 years before the pandemic. The company is 7 years old, so it was 5 years ago. So our vision when we founded HiBob 7 years ago was exactly what we see right now: flexibility, engagement, employee first platform. So the idea was to, let's try to build from ground up and come up with something different. When we look at the industry, there was well-known players, big companies, Oracle, SAP, Workday, ADP, amazing companies with billions of revenues. But when those companies were founded, some of them many years ago, some of them 15 or 20 years ago, they thought about automating HR processes for organization, time tracking, payroll stuff. And we thought, and we came with, I would say, a very innovative approach. We were the first one to say it's no longer about being system of automation for companies when it comes to manage people. It should be system of engagement. Should not build only for HR and finance. We should see the line managers, the employee, the C-suite as a very important persona when they engage with the platform, versus only HR and finance. And system of engagements, you cannot build engagement if it's not built beautifully, if it's not easy to use. It should be easy to use in the flow of work, beautiful to the eyes, kind of Instagram experience when you think about it. And we took it to the market. And then we are focusing on a very, I would say, well-defined market. We are in between the small companies and the big enterprise, what we call the triple M, 3Ms. The first M is mid-sized businesses with many hundreds of employees or a few thousands of customers. The second M is modern businesses. Modern means that companies who really put the people first. They care about the people. They use modern tools, collaboration tool, etc. And the third M is multinational. And we launched our platform, Bob. This is, HiBob is the company behind Bob, the platform. And so far, it was a tremendous success, and we are very proud of our journey so far.
It's such a cool story. I mean, you're going to ride the waves. It's just how it is in any business. Final question for you, because you and I could talk for hours, but let's talk a little bit about the why behind business leaders fostering inclusion and belonging. Why should business leaders foster inclusion and belonging? And, how can they do it successfully in multinational companies?
Thank you for the question. It's part of our mission as a meaningful player in this industry. You take any business, tech company, media company, professional services, healthcare, it's all about people. And the best indicator is to see if you take the amount of money that organization is spending on a yearly basis, so probably 70%, 80% is on people. Salaries. People are your number one asset. Without people, you cannot grow. Without people, you cannot grow your business. If people is your number one asset, and people includes everyone, man and female, coming from different geographies. We are all global companies, so we have people in different countries. I think it's so obvious. Things around D&I, diversity, inclusion, is such important topic for organization. It creates a healthier culture. It helps companies to be more resilient in their journey. Think about the turbulence of 2023. Only resilient organization with great people that with a great sense of belonging can really get through this stormy weather. And you need to invest in people. You need to make sure that your organization is diverse. You need to think about inclusion. You need to think about investing in your people, because you will see a huge return on investment. My message is clearly, great companies are the companies who are putting the people first and have a great culture.
People first. Ronni, thank you so much for stopping by and sharing your sage with us.
Thank you for inviting me. It was a great pleasure talking to you.
Thanks for listening to the Work Trends Podcast, your favorite source for all that's new and exciting in the world of work. If you love what we do here, make sure to share our podcast with the world, your friends, your neighbors. And don't forget to tune into our next episode. Catch up with you next time. Thanks to listening to Work Trends from Talent Culture. Join us every Wednesday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern for a live Twitter chat with our podcast guest. To learn more about guests featured on today's show, visit the show notes for this episode at talentculture.com and help us spread the word. Subscribe to Work Trends wherever you listen to podcasts. Leave us a rating, review in iTunes. Share Work Trends with your coworkers, your friends. Look forward to it. See you next time.